In today's video, we're going to run through Australia's hottest property market at the moment. And it's got nothing to do with the RBA, but let's say it's got everything to do with the Olympics. So really, to kick it off, when you're thinking of the Olympics, you start to go back and start to think about what happened to other places when they had the Olympics. So as an example, with Sydney in 2000, the market just before the Sydney Olympics went up by 66%, about within 2 to 3 years from the Olympics. And then at the back of that Olympics, it increased tourism, created more jobs, and then it put Sydney on the map. So it didn't just get it on the top of the property ladder, but it continued to thrive from there. And that's where the narrative goes when you're thinking about the Brisbane Olympics. When you start to think about the Brisbane Olympics, you really start to think about infrastructure spending. So as a result, the government has dedicated $7.1 billion into stadiums and venues, but they've just recently increased that to an overall budget of around $116 billion. So that's going into roads, transports, venues, lifestyle hubs, and just increasing Queensland's look and feel and appeal and lifestyle and connectivity and taking it to a whole new level. So you think about down the track that they're going to be connecting the Sunshine Coast to Brisbane via train lines. Brisbane's pretty good with train lines at the moment. You can get connected from Ipswich to Brisbane. But they're making those lines even better. They're having them go under the river so that you can get directly into the Brisbane CBD. So the reason why you want to focus on infrastructure spending, what that does is creates jobs, and if you follow infrastructure spending, it's a good indicator for capital growth. So you can use that not just for the Brisbane Olympics, but just that's what we use for looking at regional towns and looking at economic diversity. But the reason why the Olympics is such a big thing is that, even a place like Barcelona back in 1992 had 132% growth just before the Olympics. So it just creates the infrastructure spending, economic diversity, you increase the transport hubs, you then make the town a lot more livable as a city. So then the inner city goes up tremendously in value, but then as a byproduct, and this is where you want to start to search, not just in the inner city of Brisbane, you want to start to go venture out and start to look at suburbs that are 25 kilometres out, 30 kilometres out from Brisbane, because they are now well connected to the Brisbane CBD. They've got bus lines, train lines that are going to get them directly into the CBD, because if you start looking at the property market right now, the Greater Brisbane is over $1 million, the medium house price. Even the Gold Coast is over $1 million, and the Sunshine Coast is over $1 million. So we want to start to target these suburbs that are under $1 million to capture that larger amount of, from a percentage point of view, capital growth. And on top of that, you're going to get a better rental yield. So that really sums up my video today. I just really wanted to touch on the Brisbane Olympics. I know between it got announced and now, a lot of these areas have seen between 53 to 66% growth. And I don't know if that's purely off the Olympics or that's just an Australia-wide sort of thing. But you want to keep the Brisbane Olympics front of mind, because a lot of Australia done this type of growth. And now we need to start looking beyond this growth. And the Olympics can add that level of security. And if you buy this investment property, okay, cool. If the market goes and stagnates, we've got this massive amount of infrastructure going into this capital city, and it should reignite it and start another growth, start another reignition of growth in that property market, because it's going to then add in the money into that economy. But the biggest thing is it's going to add a magnifying glass to the city. So hopefully, people start to visit Brisbane, the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast before the Olympics, and then they start to come here and tourism starts to grow, and then it brings more people in, and then more people means more demand for houses, and more demand for houses means more property growth. So I hope you got some value from this video, and if you did, leave a comment below on what suburb you'll want to buy in before 2032. Try to get in before the masses do. Don't overthink it. There are some great pockets where you can still buy in under 700k. I bought a 3-bed 1-bath for a client for 620k last week. So there's still opportunities like that across Brisbane. So thanks for watching, and I hope you got some value from this video.